Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the session today. So we'll be starting the session in another couple of minutes. Few more participants are expected. So kindly wait for another couple of minutes. We will be starting. Good evening once again. I hope I'm audible. Can anyone confirm if you can hear my voice? Anybody
Yes,
in the
sir.
audience? Yes. Thanks for the confirmation. So before we start the session, I would request all the participants to please turn your videos on so that we can have an interactive and informative session. Please, I request, kindly turn your videos on. To introduce the keynote speaker I have for the day, he's CA Rahul Saria. He's one of the co-founder of Incurious. To introduce him, he's an All India rank holder in Chartered Accountant and Company Secretary exams. Has also written a book on startup finance. He has been awarded Business Leader 40 Under 40 by ICAI and CNBC as well. A true visionary in the sense. Over to you, sir. You can proceed.
Thank you, Sudeep. Thank you. A warm welcome to everyone. How are you doing? As I can see few cameras on. Can I see you smiling, all of you? And those who have not switched on your cameras, please do so. It's good to see real people than just facing a camera, right? Yeah, thank you. There are more people. Yeah. Hi, Indrani ji. Hi, Revati. Hi, Lavanya.
Hi, sir. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Gan.
you, sir.
We have Mr. Sheikh. We have Mr. Gopal Krishnan.
Hello,
More
sir.
folks. Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine, sir.
As we wait for more folks to join, right? We all know why we have gathered here to understand about how to appear and how to attend interviews, right? Specifically for finance folks like us, right? Be it accounting, be it audit, be it taxation, all these, right? So feel free to ask questions if any. But the idea is to have more interaction so that we share, we learn from each other. We can share our experiences. But what I'll do, we'll follow a proper format for our today's session. There are certain slides that I want to present with you, present in front of you. I want you to participate. Either you can unmute and speak in between, or you could even use the chat box, right? That's easier. So I may ask a lot of questions. You will have to answer those. Again, idea is not to prove anyone right or wrong, but idea is to give you a sense that what kind of questions could come in an interview, right? Being a finance professional. Now, I'm sure a lot of you may just be an accountant, right? But you may think, oh, I am only an accountant. Why should I know tax at all? But it doesn't work that way, right? Practically, you have to have some idea of everything in and around finance. Like, for example, if I am doing an accounting in Tally or maybe Zoho or maybe SAP, right? We need to ensure that, okay, we have some idea and some knowledge about maybe taxes like TDS, some knowledge about GST, some about knowledge about income tax as well, right? These are some skills that in an interview anyone would want to test, right? Even though you may be going only for accounting job. Okay, one question to all of you, if you can put in the chat box. How many of you are, so if you can just type your field, right? Like for example, accounting, income tax, GST, or any other field that you are working on or you would want to work. If you can put in the chat box. What is your area of expertise and what kind of job or the interviews that you look forward to? Can you use the chat box, please? Accounting, GST, income tax, labor laws, or anything else that you do or you would want to do. Okay, I'm waiting for folks. Okay, accounting, GST, accounting and taxation. Okay. Two response only so far. We have a lot of people here. Yes. Accounting and taxation, income tax and GST. Okay. All. Okay, Venu says all. Yes, that's true. Okay, got it. So I'm happy that most of you, right? No one has written only accounting. That means we all are aware that only accounting may not stand a chance, right? Okay, there's one guy, accounts data entry. I agree, Bhupati. Even account data entry is equally important because you need to have a lot of knowledge about accounts, right? But simultaneously, you have to understand what goes in practically while we do accounting as well, right? So from that perspective, we are going to cover a lot of things. Now, without waiting much, I think we are 32 people. I'm expecting some more folks to join. At least I think there will be 50 by the time we move forward. But yeah, you know, right? Some people are always used to joining late, right? But we should not punish folks who have joined on time, right? So we'll start right away. I'll just start with sharing my screen. Can someone confirm my screen is visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Yeah, thank you. So as you know that we are all part of InQS, most of you maybe are students learning either through us through our various centers across the country. We have 140 plus centers in 20 different states who are spreading education and we are creating an impact among students, right? So that is where we thought, why not do this session, which would help our students to actually clear the interviews and get better jobs. So let me start quickly. For any interview or any kind of discussion, right? What is the most important thing that you see in the screen is communication, right? If you know how to communicate well, then half of the job is done. But the question is, people would always say, right? Yeah, communication needs to be great. What does communication mean? Does communication mean a superb command in English? Answer is no. People think that, okay, if I know English, I'll do great in interview, otherwise not. Answer is absolutely wrong. I would tell you, language is just a medium of communication. If you know your stuff well, if you know you have a good knowledge, then that would be good enough for you to crack any interview. For example, there are two things that I always focus on. One is confidence. Second one is your content. Now you see, I'm not talking about language at all. Then third word that you see on the screen is storytelling, right? Now storytelling is a part and parcel of what we do, what we speak, right? But for an effective communication, one, confidence, second, content is very important. Now, what is confidence? You have to carry your confidence along with you, just like you wear a perfume. Similarly, you have to carry and wear a confidence, be it in your smile, be it in your dressing style, or be it when you're talking to someone, tell with confidence. So, for example, if some interviewer is asking me a question, even if I do not know the answer, I should be confident when to say that, sir, ma'am, I do not know this. It does not harm you that, okay, you need not know everything on earth. That's absolutely fine. But your approach, your attitude is more important for the interviewer to test whether this candidate is ready to learn or not. So you have to showcase that through your confidence. Even if you are not sure of, say, for example, English or any particular language that your interviewer expects. Why I'm using English again and again? Because that has become a taboo in our country. That, okay, if you do not know English, you do not know English. That's absolutely rubbish. When we actually, as an interviewer, anyone who looks for the right candidate, of course, if someone knows English, it's an added advantage. I would not deny that. But if someone does not know, but if you know your subject knowledge, that's more important. Specifically when it comes to finance. See, we are people with numbers. We are people who knows about the law. So that is more important. Let me tell you a very simple story. What do you see on the screen? Some interesting words, right? I'm sure you all of you might have had your lunch. So let me tell you a very simple story. Once a man went to a shopkeeper. He said, give me something that would satiate my hunger. And what is the price for that? The shopkeeper said, 5 rupees per word. He again asked, sir, I'm asking you, what is the price of the product that you will feed me, which will satiate my hunger? Basically, which will make me fulfilled, right? He said 5 rupees. He said, okay. He said, okay, give me the vada. He ate one vada. He could not satiate his hunger. Second vada, third vada, fourth vada. He ate 6 vadas, but nothing happened. As soon as he ate seventh vada, he got satisfied. Yeah, now I am full. I'm very happy. What he did, he took out 5 rupees from his pocket and started giving to the shopkeeper. Suddenly, one sound came from back, the owner's sound. Hey, 35 rupees. 7 vadas into 535 rupees. Then he said, sir, I made it very clear that you need to tell me the price of if I, what will you feed me, which will satiate my hunger? And you said 5 rupees. Now I don't care. First 6 vadas that I ate, it did not satiate my hunger, so I'll not pay for that. I'll only pay for the seventh one. So this is where the communication gap starts, right? This is what your communication has to be very clear. If I say A, it should be seen as A, not the other way around. If I write 6, the other person should see as 6 and not 9. Now, what this story actually tells us is that first 6 vadas is something that you have to prepare the mind of the receiver before communicating anything. If you are, I'm telling you, 80 to 90% of our effort goes into preparing the mind of the receiver or the recipient or the listener. And then the last vada, that is the last 10 or 20%, goes into delivery of what you want to deliver. What does it mean actually in a practical word? It means you have to understand the situation. You have to understand who is the person sitting or standing in front of you. What is the expectation? And then setting their mindset in such a way that, okay, they are able to understand what we are trying to tell them. No wonder, even in Bhagavad Gita, when Sri Krishna, there are almost 18 chapters, right, in Bhagavad Gita. Almost 16 to 17 chapters, Krishna just prepares Arjun to do what? To fight. In the last chapter, he delivers, go, you are a Kshatriya, get up and go and start, get into your fight and do the fighting. Without which, had he told in the first chapter, go, you have to fight, maybe Arjun would not have accepted it so easily. He had so many questions. Everything had to be answered. Same is the thing. Your confidence will come when you know to communicate it right to the interviewer. You have to know what does the interviewer want, right? You have to read your JD properly, the job description. What is expected from this particular candidate for this particular role? You have to know about the company where you're going for interview. You have to learn about the company. What do they do? What business they are into? What could be the accounting or taxation complicacy that could arrive? You have to think from these angles and ask the right questions to the interviewer. They should not. So people think generally, they take it very casual. They think, okay, if I know my stuff, my accounting and tax, that is more than enough. No, it's not. Because tax is such a deep subject. You may not know everything. But if you know what is relevant for this particular industry where I'm going for an interview, that helps you crack the interview very, very easily. So what I'm trying to tell you, first 6 vadas should be the focus, not only the seventh one. At times, it's a very common sales technique, where people say, you end up putting your effort till your first 6 vadas, but when the time to deliver seventh vada comes, you give up. Oh, then nothing is happening, sales won't happen. And at times, there are people who would straight away focus into seventh vada and forget the first 6. You're not preparing the mind of the receiver. Straight away, sir, buy this. Sir, take me. I'm the best. Why are you best? You have to prove, right? There are 10 more candidates who are sitting in front of you or maybe competing with you. And that employer may have only limited positions. So you have to say, you have to tell them that I have read about the company. I know the industry well. I know this could be the complicated issues that may be faced in terms of accounting and taxation. How are we solving it? And you are well prepared for those. Now, how will that come? That brings me to your second point, that is content. Now, content means basically your knowledge. Do you have knowledge of your subject? That's very, very important. So confidence will come based on your study around the company, about yourself, carrying your smile, sleep well one night before when you have an interview. You have to sleep well, really well, right? And that morning when you're going, at least go and run for 1 or 2 kilometers, sweat it out, right? That helps you bring the confidence. But content is equally important where your knowledge actually plays a role. You have to have your knowledge of accounting. You have to have your knowledge of taxation with GST, income tax, CDS, etc. Right? If both of these are there, I'm telling you that's the perfect communication. And then how you built up your story is very, very important. Right? Now, with this basic first level of communication discussion, we'll move to something little bit technical in and around accounting and taxation, which will help you understand how you can think from multifaceted of a same simple thing. Now, what you see, it's a technical stuff. The question says, or maybe an interviewer is asking you, right? Just imagine you are appearing in an interview. It's a very simple one. Pass a journal entry of sales on credit for 1 lakh rupees. Can someone pass this journal entry and put in the chat box, please? I give you 30 seconds. Don't write long sentences, just one simple debit this, credit this. Amount is already written, 1 lakh rupees, no need to write. What to debit, what to credit, quickly. You all need to participate. See, if you want to make the best out of it, because I'm telling you, this is just a one basic simple entry. As we move forward, you'll see how interesting and complicated it is going to become. Okay, I have the first chat, 2 of them. Debtors debit to sales credit, debtors debit to sales credit. Perfect. Okay, let me see what is the answer. 2 answers I got. Okay, one more. Let me check out. Okay, party to sales. Okay, party debtor, it's all the same. Now let's see what is this here. Okay, debtor to sales. So a big clap for all of you, all 3 of you who answered this right. But we are in an era of GST. Did you think about GST at all? Though the question says sales on credit, what if that company is registered for GST? Did you ask that question to the interviewer? That is the question. This is something that will make a difference. See, everyone is going to give this plain answer, debtor to sales, debtor to say party to sales, or whatever, right? But did you think about GST parallelly? That is the extra edge that you may have. Correct? So why you didn't think? Why was the answer so simple? It's not a classroom. Classroom is done. Now you're going for practical. So if I am on your side, right? If I'm given an interview, I'll ask, sir, is the company registered for GST or not? Correct? And if that is the case, or other second, you said all data for it could be cash or bank to sales also. I'm just showing one entry. Now, little bit complication, like if there's a GST, what would be the entry? Can someone write in the chat box? And GST percentage is 10%, let's assume, for simplicity. 1 lakh rupees sales amount and GST is 10%. What will the entry with amounts? Though this, I'm telling you, this instead of interviewer asking you with GST, you should ask them and then give a complicated answer to show that, yeah, you understand these factors. You are not doing just simple mugged up entry for passing a sales entry, right? Anyone who wants to attempt this? Okay, I got one answer. Just debit party. It's incomplete. Anyone? No? Okay. So I'll give you the answer. Okay, someone has come. Vijay Sanjay. Cashback debit, CGST debit, SGST debit to sales. Sir, this is sales entry. So you have to go and check your basics again little bit. When you are doing a sales side, you will collect GST from the third party, from your customer. Correct? You will collect GST and that becomes your output tax, GST output liability. So I think there was some confusion. Someone who passed that entry. 10% is just an example. I know there is no GST rate for 10%, but in my question, just for simplicity sake, I made it 10%. Actual rates are 0, 5, 12, and 18 and 28. I know that. But for our understanding, I said, let's assume GST is there at 10%. So the right entry would be debtors debit, that is party debit, 1,10,000 to sales to GST output, right? But is there any tax called GST? There are 3 types of GST, right? Did you think about that? There's IGST, there's CGST, there's SGST. Did you think on that when I asked for this entry as well? Not enough, right? So you have to ask whether it's a intrastate sale or whether it's an interstate sale. then your entry would be really complete. Right or wrong? So are you thinking? So see what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make you teach basics of accounting, but not the accounting part. I'm trying to teach you the thought process around when you are joining somewhere as an accounts or taxation team member. Correct? You have to think holistically from various angles, from GST angle. Because if I know whether it's a local sale that is within the state, intrastate sale, then I'll use CGST and SGST. If not, I'll use IGST. So assuming it's a local sale, then my entry changes. Debtor 1 lakh 10, 2 sales 1 lakh, 2 CGST output, 2 SGST output, 5 and 5. Interesting, right? Are you enjoying this? Can I get a thumbs up from all of you? Or at least in the chat box, yes, no. If no, that's okay. You can write no. Absolutely fine with that. Okay. So this is where you have to think more. You have to think, get deeper into it, that whether it is actually making sense or not. Am I thinking deeper? Am I see a student will also answer okay data to sales, right? With the answer that we all of us gave first at the beginning. But that may not be true as we go deeper. In practical world, this is something that is really applicable. And your employer is going to like you if you actually start thinking on those fronts. Okay, now the next question that was on the income side, that is sales. Now, here is the situation. Hear me out properly. Suppose your company is situated in Bangalore, that is Karnataka. It's a Karnataka headquartered company. It's a GST registered entity. Now, the company is taking one more rental office in the state of Maharashtra in Mumbai. It's a different state, just letting you know, right? Now, that rental expense for that Mumbai office, new office that they are about to take, is 1 lakh rupees. But obviously, accounting is done centrally in the HO itself, that is in Karnataka. Now, Karnataka company, who's taking a rental office in a different state in Mumbai, you have to pass a journal entry of a rental expense of 1 lakh rupees. What would be your journal entry? Those who wish to attempt, please put in the chat box. Please don't worry, even if you're wrong, does not matter. This is all we are learning. No one is judging you. This is not a real interview. This is to share and learn with each other. Make mistakes so that you will get to know what is wrong, what is right. Who would like to attempt? Rental expense entry, simple. Tada, I'm waiting. Rent debit, input GST debit, cash or bank rate. Okay, Lavanya. Very good. Now see, you are thinking GST has already been imbibed in your blood, right? Very good. Okay, Mr. Gopalakrishnan says debit Maharashtra branch, credit rent payable. Okay, Mr. Gopalakrishnan is assuming that we have a Maharashtra branch, but let me tell you, we don't have a Maharashtra branch. Let's keep it simple for now. But yeah, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, you are right to that extent. Okay, someone says rent to bank, very simple. But Bhupati, you again missed out on GST part. Yeah, right or wrong, I'm not saying, but you missed out. Just letting you know. Rajgopal says rent debit, GST input debit to owner. Okay, owner means party or whatever, right? Okay, Rajgopal, again you are using GST input. I don't know which GST it is. We already discussed this in the last video, right? Okay, now, but good participation, I really liked it. Now let's see. Basic entry would be rent to party, right? Some of you said that also. Rent to party. I agree. Rent to party would be the basic entry. But there's always a but, right? What is that but? Now GST, if it is 10%, then will it be rent debit? Someone gave this entry, but without with GST, right? Will it be IGST input at the rate 10%? Okay, Devati says rent paid account debit to cash. And that's okay, cash or party, that's fine, absolutely. I'm talking about GST. Revati, you are partly right, but GST is missing that. Now, is this entry correct? What you see on the screen? Yes, no. You can unmute and talk because it's something that you may not be able to type also if someone wants to talk about this topic at all. Yes, no. Is it correct? Not correct? I use IGST because I said it's in a different state. Is this correct or no? Okay. Someone says, Mr. Ranganathan, Sarat says correct. No, we can't claim GST. Rajgopal says we can't claim GST. Okay. One person, Rajgopal ji, says rest, everyone is saying it's correct. But there's one rebel in our group who says, no, it's not correct. You cannot claim GST. Okay. Okay. So let me tell you, if you have little knowledge of GST, maybe it may be a bit complicated. In case of a real estate, GST place of supply is the place where the property is located. In our case, Since it's a Mumbai located office, that is Maharashtra, the landlord owner cannot raise a IGST invoice on us at all. It's not allowed only. You cannot do interstate supply because the supplier in Maharashtra, that is the owner of the place, plus the place of supply will always be Maharashtra because it's a place where the property is located. In this case, it will always be CGST and IGST only. CGST and SGST only of Maharashtra state, not of Karnataka. So, Mr. Rajgopal, the rebel in this group, is absolutely right. You cannot claim this GST because, yes, you are right, Mr. Rajgopal, place of supply will be property located, which means the owner is going to, if he is GST registered, first of all, you should ask whether the owner is GST registered or not. If not, then the GST matter is closed. If yes, then he is going to raise an invoice of CGST and SGST of local Maharashtra. We can claim that input only if we are registered in Maharashtra. Otherwise, not. If you are not registered in Maharashtra, Karnataka state registration cannot claim the input of Maharashtra state SGST and CGST. I hope this is clear. If any doubts, let me know. I'll re-explain it. But this is something. So we cannot claim GST. IGST is completely wrong. CGST, SGST, the party will charge, the landlord will charge, but we cannot claim. If we cannot claim, in that case, that becomes our cost. So even if there's a 10% GST, our rent account will be debited by 1,10,000, not 1 lakh only, because we cannot claim input. Right? This entry is wrong in the screen. Mr. Rajgopal was brave enough to tell, yes, I'm wrong, when everyone was saying it is right. So can we have a round of applause for Mr. Rajgopal? Okay. Now moving forward. This is not done yet. Imagine, there's something called as TDS and the income tax. Did you think about that? There's a section 194I. This is a rent payment. Who will talk about TDS on income tax, on rent? Why did we miss that? This is something that an employer would love to hear. Now I'm writing here clearly the next thing, GST not eligible for input, but TDS is there. How many of you thought of TDS? No one of you. None of you. Why not? Maybe that did not trigger, right? But I'm saying this is where you make a difference when compared to others, when you're going for an interview. If you bring this complexity, even if in the general entry you might have not brought it, if you have told themselves this is a basic entry with GST, but there is a TDS also applicable. Why? You know the limits? You know the limit of TDS? You need to know. Like for example, TDS will come under section 194, rent. Which one is the section? Anyone? In the chat box. Okay, there is some answer. Let me open the chat box and see. Which section, Mr. Rajgopal? 194I. Yes, he has gone deeper, 194IA. But 194I is the right answer. 2,40,000 is the annual limit. How much are we paying? 1 lakh per month. Obviously, we'll cross. It's 12 lakh per annum. Then you need to think from that angle whether TDS is applicable or not. If yes, why your general entry did not capture that? That is the question. Now what I have done, rent account debit including GST, because that's my cost. I cannot claim. 2 party 1 lakh, 2 TDS 10,000. But why TDS only 10,000? Why not 10% of 1 lakh 10,000? Is it correct? Is it wrong? Anyone? Okay, I have few answers. It's wrong. Okay, Mr. Gopal Krishna says it's wrong. Anyone else? Okay, I'll answer it. So, under Income Tax Act, there is a circular which says you need not deduct TDS on the GST component. My actual rent is only 1 lakh. 10,000 is the GST component. It's just our general entry is like this because in this case, we are saying this is not an eligible input. We could have had different ledger if that confuses you. But I have not calculated TDS on the GST portion. So only rent, that is 1 lakh, 10% of 1 lakh is the TDS paid. Hence, this entry is correct. 1,10,000, including ineligible GST, I have passed it club together. It could be two different debits as well. If you're doing in two parts, that's okay. Rent debit 1 lakh, IGST cost debit or some name you can give it. GST not eligible debit 10,000. Two party 10,000, 1 lakh, and two TDS payable under section 194I. Or if you have multiple, see these ledger names does not matter actually. It's your books, your accounting. You can be creative. You can have multiple ledgers as well. But what is more important? What to be debited, what to be credited. I hope now you got a sense what I'm talking about. You have to think holistically. You have to think from GST, TDS, income tax. At least basics level, you should know that, okay, these things I have to see. Now, see, at times what may happen when you go for an interview, right? You may not know all of these, right? I give a simple example of rent. Now, they may ask some complicated issue about the industry which you have not come through in your life, right? Does not matter. You can tell them, sir, basics I know. I know this would be applicable. But once I get into work, once I understand your industry well, then I know what to look for. See, they are looking for your approach when you're asking them, right? They're looking for, are you thinking wide enough and not limiting yourself to only basic accounting? Correct? Say, for example, I don't know how many of you are aware, the government have come up with a new GST form, GSTR 1A, very recently, 2 days back. It has not been published now, but the GST Council has approved. So we file GSTR 1 for all the output sales data every month. If there is something, some edit has to be done, maybe some amendment, then government has come up with a new form called GSTR 1A. It's basically if you can file the changes required in GSTR 1, what has already been filed. Details are yet to follow. We don't have much detail. But if you're going for interview tomorrow, and if you know this basic, okay, 2 days back something government's come, the interview will be super happy. Oh yeah, you are updated that what is happening in the practical world as well, right? So these things these are some small things that you need to take care of. Any questions? Please put in the chat box for on these accounting entries that we did. Anything you want me to repeat? Happy to do that. I'll wait for 5 seconds and then I'll move to the next topic. That is on the CV. Cool. Now let's move to our next discussion point, that is curriculum vitae. How many of you knew the meaning of full form of CV? Curriculum vitae. I think very few of you, right? So generally people use words like biodata. I'll tell you, biodata is not used when we create a profile, right? Some people even use profile, that is okay. But CV is the actual word that we created. Resume is one more word. Resume can also be used or CV, but don't use biodata. Biodata is generally for your marriage, right? When you go for wedding, you create a biodata of yours. So don't write biodata when you actually create your CV. Resume is fine. CV looks more professional, right? CV. So even if your file name should be saved like Lavanya CV, right? Or Lavanya MCV, something like that, from that perspective. Now, I want to discuss certain important points with respect to CV and LinkedIn. For folks who have never heard about what is LinkedIn, we have a full-fledged webinar video available in our channel, YouTube channel. You can go and watch that. What is LinkedIn, how to use that for your professional benefit. But if you do not have LinkedIn account, please, first thing you should go and create a LinkedIn account. That don't waste your time in Facebook, Instagram, and all this Snapchat or whatever, right? The latest one. Of course, for your entertainment, you can do so, but LinkedIn is a must-have for any professional. For increasing your network, meeting people, if you send a invite in LinkedIn to any professional and you write a message to them once they've accepted, most of the cases you will get an answer. It's a great platform to search for jobs as well for people who are looking for jobs here, right? And even otherwise, LinkedIn is the most sought after social profile, I would say, for any candidate that when you apply for jobs, right? It's a great way. And there are multiple jobs that you can apply from there. Two things are very important. The data that you put in your CV and in your LinkedIn profile should be matching. It should not be like, okay, in my LinkedIn, it says I studied from XYZ school, but CV says something else. Don't make that mistake, first of all, right? And secondly, you should add all your certifications, all your achievements in LinkedIn and CVs both, right? One thing I've seen a lot of CVs that come to me. Sometimes people think that more you write in a CV, it's better. No, it's not. Your CV should not be more than one page. Worst case, if there are a lot of information, you have a lot of achievements like sports, curriculars, etc., a lot of national level events, etc., then maximum it may go up to 2 pages. Never create a CV of more than 2 pages. I've seen people writing 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages. Please do not. There are hundreds of templates available on Google, or now you have a chat GPT. You can search there as well for various templates. Go and search for a good CV template and use those. You'll get automated editable templates as well. Maximum 1 page or 2 page, not more than that. Don't make that mistake. Secondly, in your CV, if you are actually see nowadays it's a digital world, right? Hardly people would want you to carry a physical copy of a CV. But still, if you are doing that, always ensure that your name and mobile number and email ID should be on the right hand side top right hand side of the page. Because what happens generally, HRs what they will do, they will put the CV, they will punch it in their file on the left hand side. So if your name and number and or maybe the email ID it gets hidden, there's a chances that they may not find it easily. So it should be on the top right hand side. But more importantly, now in terms of content of CV, what to write in the CV? Of course, your qualification, very, very important. Apart from qualification, what are the achievements that you have done? Like, for example, if you got a best employee award, if you got a best student award, or you were good in sports, or some kind of co-curricular activities in school or in colleges or wherever you work, right? All those things are equally important. Very, very important. So you have to ensure you write all of those in a very simple and crisp language. Like, for example, say you have done audit work, right, in some company, in a CA firm or maybe some kind of audit firm. You have to write. You can even write some names of the companies where you have audited. Some good names, like it could be a listed company. Those are absolutely no harm. You cannot present some data which is not public. Any public data, if it's a listed company, you can always say, okay, I was the part of the audit team of ITC Limited, for example, right? Secondly, please do not copy paste CV blindly from Google or someone else. Every word that is written in your CV should be known to you. You should be aware of what you are talking about. Because if you try to copy paste and if the interviewer picks up a word and tells you what is the meaning of this, he or she will understand that you have just copied it from somewhere. You do not even know the meaning of a word. Don't try to over impress by using tough words, jargons, big English words, not required. Keep it as simple as possible. Focus on your education. If you've been a rank holder, if you've got a good pass marks, you've got certifications, please add all of them. Same is with your LinkedIn. When you go to LinkedIn, say for example, you are certified from FinQrace for, say for example, level 1, or it could be say GST. Please go and add that certification in your LinkedIn profile as well. I'm not talking about a post. I'm talking about updating your profile. Same thing should be in your CV as well. Simultaneously, see what is more important. Say for example, you've done a course on GST from FinQrace, okay, or it could be from anywhere else. When you write that, right, you should ensure that when you're going for an interview, you have to revise that particular subject very thoroughly. See, try to understand. Now I'll bring back that the old topic of communication. When I'm talking to my interviewer, it all depends whether you command that interview or the interviewer. If you want to do that, you have to ensure your storytelling has to be so good that I can actually divert the employer or the prospective interviewer to the topic which I know best. That see, if you let the other guy drift you away, then he or she is going to ask you what he wants to know or she wants to know. Rather, I would say you have to be smart enough by maybe you can do some mock interviews with your friends just to test it out. Try to bring them to your topic. For example, I'll create a fake story. Now, this fake is not that kind of fake. It's kind of fake where I say I'm not done practically, but I am very good in theoretical, right? Say, for example, my accounting is superb, very, very good, right? I'll create a story. Sir, in my last so-and-so company, XYZ company, there was a big accounting issue. No one was able to solve it. And then when I got to see it, I could found it to be very complicated. But eventually I solved it. Then they may say, oh, is it? Tell me what was it? Now you have already prepared one story for this particular interview. Bring up that story now in the forefront. But that will be a fake story because I know my accounting is good. Then this exact story that, like, for example, the example that I gave you, that could be one example, right? Okay, we had a head office in this place and we were taking office in some other state. This is where the vendor gave me as a GST invoice with IGST, and that was wrong. In fact, all my seniors, everyone argued with me. Then we did a research and all. Then we realized, yeah, the landlord was wrong, and we got it amended, and then finally we could claim. And eventually, since we did some cost benefit analysis, since the GST component was so large, we did not want to lose that input. So we took a GST registration in Maharashtra also and took that. So that is what you're doing. You are telling that, okay, my accounting is great. And I understood, I had GST knowledge also. And now you have drifted the employer's mindset from whatever questions he or she had to your topics of accounting, of GST. Similarly,
You can create some examples of every topic that you are good at. Say, for example, you are good in income tax. Create some story. See, it could have happened with you, right? Actual also. You can obviously use those examples. If not, you can create some simple examples so that in case you feel that, okay, something is not going right in the interview, you can certainly add in some example and bring that topic back to your area of interest so that the employer gets impressed. Yes, he or she knows about what she is talking. That is most important. I hope I'm clear. One, don't fake in your CV. Write the correct things, your degrees, your certifications, your activities. Where you can fake, actually, fake it till you make it. You might have heard about it. Where you can do it in a storytelling part, not in your paper. No faking with your degrees. Please don't make that mistake, right? But you can always create some stories. You have to be a storyteller. If you are the right storyteller, you can actually win the heart. Because see, again, try to understand. If you're good at A, right, does not mean that you may know C and D as well. Now, employer may judge you based on C and D, but they are missing out on the point because this particular candidate is good in A. You would be the right fit for that A work, right? Then why to just allow someone just because of not asking the right questions and you could not show your talent to them? Correct? This is what I'm trying to focus on, that you have to create enough good stories so that you can bring that attention back to your own this thing. Thirdly, now I'll again repeat the first thing that I told. You have to read about the company where you're going to actually interview. You have to read, go and check out the profile of your interviewer in LinkedIn. I'm telling you, 90% of the people are there on LinkedIn. All professions are LinkedIn. If someone is interviewing you, please go and check out their LinkedIn profile. What they are, what is their background, what profile they look at it. So you know enough about them. Try to find out who's your employer from the HR whom you're talking, that who will be taking your next round of interview. And then read about them personally as well as about their company. Say, for example, that company is in a particular industry, say coal industry. So just go and Google what are the basic issues in coal industry. Is related to accounts and finance and taxation. Some GST issue, some issue, right? If you can little bit read about those and go well prepared, that will be a big bonus for you when you appear for interview. I hope I'm making sense. Last but not the least, I'll just quickly repeat. One, communication is most important, which is which comprises of two things: content and confidence. I told you both how to improve your content and how to increase your confidence. Second, your technical knowledge, you have to have a holistic thinking. Not only one subject, think from GST, income tax, maybe Ministry of Corporate Affairs if you have some knowledge. You have to think from holistic angle, where audit angle you can think of something. Okay, say for example, audit report is a Caro report. I don't know if anyone is here from the audit segment from that perspective also. Okay, there's a question, sir. Tell an example story of subject knowledge, sir. Vinay, if you can elaborate? I just gave an example, right? Like, for example, if someone is asking for basic accounting, I can move them to a GST example also. So, sir, so basically, you know a complicated law, say under GST. I will create a fake story that, okay, in my company that happened, though it might not have happened. Who is going to check that? How will someone check that? Right? I will say there was a GST complicated issue, or maybe we got a notice from income tax for so and so. Say, for example, you deduct PF. I'll give an example. We deduct this, right? PF employee contribution every month, PF and ESI. You know, in income tax, there is a law which says whatever you deduct, if you do not pay as per the due date of the next month, that is 15th of the next month, then that is not allowed as deduction under income tax act. And the company ends up paying full income tax. This is disallowed. Now, if you have knowledge of this particular law, then you can create a story. Yeah, in my company that happened. I was taking care of accounting, or I was taking care of PF filing, ESF filing, whatever you know, right? And accordingly, this issue came. Then we discussed, we detailed, and this was the issue. And we had, from next time, we created a proper process, SOP, or a policy in the company that instead of waiting for last day, 15 months, that the portal will not work, we ensure that we used to close the payroll by 5th, and 10th was the internal due date that we used to keep 5 months in hand. So 5 days in hand to do the advance filing, advance payment. So that will talk about you're thinking so much about the company so that the company does not lose because of a accounting or a process issue. So I hope, Vinay, I could answer that your question. Third, I spoke about CV and the LinkedIn. Further, I do not know. I am sure there may be some people who are not FinQA students as of now. As I said, we have 140 plus centers across the country. Even someone can learn directly also. If you have a laptop and you're okay to learn online, you can go to our website and check. There are many courses in and around our subjects like GST, income tax, TDS, PF, ESI, Tally, analytics. Now we are coming up with more new courses like startup course, personal finance course. This could really help you enhance practically. Why practically? Because we have certain government website that you see on the screen on the right hand side, GST, TDS, income tax, ESI, and PF, where we have created a simulation. It's an exact replica portal of the government, where you get a hands-on practical learning training, where you go and pass each and every entry yourself. Like, for example, you have to file GSTR 1, I have to file GSTR 3B, I have to file TDS return 24Q, 26Q. You can do it with your hands, get your hands dirty and learn. See, that is very, very important. And employers are looking for those things. And again, see, one thing I'll tell you. We purposefully don't teach GSTR 9. What is 9? It's an annual return for GST. Idea is, if you know at a one level GSTR 1 and GSTR 3, right? For example, GSTR monthly filing, quarterly filing, then the employer is more than happy. Okay, if my candidate prospective knows basics about it, they will learn the complicacy about it. I'll give one more example. Under GST, input tax credit is a big topic, right? You would have learned basics when you're learning from us, or even if you're studying in your college or whatever, right? When you go to a particular industry, there may be some very complicated issues. Like, for example, whether GST input will be available in case of transport from India to UK. Half is within India, half is outside India, whether input tax allowed or not, that transport expenses, right? What I'm trying to say, you need not know everything. You have to tell them, sir, I know practical level a lot, whatever is required in the practical way. What I know, what is the input tax, I know what is the output, I know what is the computation. If there's some industry specific understanding, I learn, sir, it's not a big deal. I know the basics, my concepts are clear. For your industry, I can easily come and join. And once I spend some time, I'll easily pick it up because I know the basics, concepts are very clear. And that is true, not only for you, for even for chartered accountants with 20 years of experience. Also, I'm telling you, I'm a chartered accountant. I cannot claim that I know everything about GST, everything about income tax. No, accounting maybe yes, because it's basic, just debit and credit concepts of it. But law, I cannot claim. If someone is claiming, they're lying, I'm telling you, unless they do only that. If I do multiple things, I did not know. But it's not something that I cannot know. It's just a matter of exposure. That's it. If I join a new company, new industry, I can easily. You have to show this in your confidence. They will try to see. I'll tell you at times what we do as an interviewer, I do, and employers what they do. They will unnecessarily create pressure on you. They want to see whether you can handle pressure or not. We don't expect answers. We want to see how do you handle that pressure. That is more important. We will unnecessarily complicate. You might have said the right answer. We'll ask you, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? That time you need not give in. That time you have to, in fact, reply with a smile. Yes, sir, I think I'm very sure. But if you are asking like that, I am getting a bit doubtful, right? That's okay. You will not become small by giving it. You have to show that, yeah, I'm pretty confident. But maybe if you're asking so many times, now I'm getting doubts. But would love to learn, sir. If there's a mistake, please correct me. Correct me if I'm wrong. These statements will win their hearts. Something you don't know, you tell them, sir, I do not know. But why to say only you do not? Say, for example, there's a question on GST, on input tax credits, right? But it's a very complicated question. You no harm in telling them, sir, this particular exact question that you're asking exactly, I do not know. But I do know that input tax credit are not allowed on certain items like so and so. Say, for example, there's a question of block credits, right? Certain items, they may ask for something typical which you have not heard of. But you can give another example of same topic. Sir, I know there are block credits. Like, for example, if a company spends something on employee on which GST is applicable for the employees, on those cases, it comes under block credits and it's not allowed as input tax. Like, for example, if the company buys a vehicle in the company's name, input tax rate is not allowed. It comes under block credits unless you are a car dealer yourself. I don't know how many of you remember this clause, but just I'm telling you, right? If a question is on block credits, I do not know what the employee is asking. I can tell switch. I do not know this, but I know I am aware of block credits. Maybe this point I don't remember, but this is something I do. So you can always change your story and show them that, boss, I know. You are not talking to someone who does not know anything. Got it? So this is the way you change your stories. So very, very important. Again, last but not the least, our platform called Fincy Lab. If any one of you have done, say, for example, one particular course, and if you think that, okay, some other course would be equally would add value, because the way of learning in our portal is very, very different. As you can see on the screen, there are conceptual videos by industrial experts, there are live classes, there are doubt solving sessions, Their live chat support for doubts, their self-assessment, MCQs are there, a lot of gamifications are there. Plus, the simulation experiments is something highlight which no one else is doing across the world. We are the first one to bring that experiment concept where step by step you learn, and then full-fledged simulation where you go full simulation you do and do the complete filing with examples which have been curated by experts in our platform itself. So you can go to our website, you can talk to our nearest center wherever you're joining from, and if you like, you can think of joining. So I will stop my discussion here in terms of our today's discussion, but happy to take questions. You can unmute and ask, or you can put in the chat box as well. Any questions under the sun? Happy to answer. And I hope it added some value to all of you, whatever we discussed, right? Some positive nuggets that you would remember. Any questions? Please unmute and ask, or you can put in the chat box. No questions. So I will. I think there are two reasons. One, either what I said, everything was understood, or nothing was understood. I would like to take the credit. I would assume that everything was understood and everyone got some value add. And at least you can put in the chat box. Yes, it was. It added some value to you. You can put yes, no in the chat box.
Hi, sir. Myself, Rahul.
Yes, sir.
I'm centered in Fin Career Academy in Andhra Pradesh. It's a new center. It's a new center. Our students are here. Say, tell something about our course.
Sure.
These are our students.
Okay. Is there a question? I didn't understand.
Yes, here our students are attending this
Okay.
webinar. Just say something
Okay.
like about our course, like how our course is better than normal tally, like other institutions will be there, no? So who teaches
Got it,
tally?
got it. So I'll tell you, say, in fact, I got your point, sir. So again, generally, sir, sir is asking that how is FinQuest better than others, right? So I'll tell you very clearly. I'm a chartered accountant. I have been into practice. I've been into consulting. I've worked in large corporates. I was a CFO for a large edtech company called Vedantu. Now, I've seen how is education being taking place across the country, right? What is more important is that today the biggest challenge, there's a big gap between industry and academics, right? Big gap. Now, which is where we need to teach them practically how to add value in the corporate world. See what happens, no? All the companies, when they hire, they spend almost 2 to 3 months training the candidates, which is what they feel that, okay, it's a waste of their time, energy, and money, that they're paying salary also, or maybe internship cost, and plus their training also, their resources are wasted. If they get someone who knows practically how to work on this. Now, I'll give you an example. GST, income tax, TDS, PF, ESI. If you go to YouTube or maybe other portal site, you will see a lot of videos. Okay, this is how you file your returns, right? I'm telling you, watching video, if I could learn how to file something, then no course is required at all. But it's impractical. You cannot learn by watching video alone. You have to do with your hands, get your hands ready, and then only learn. This is the biggest difference between us and anyone else. In FinQuest, what happens? The simulation, which is the exact copy paste of the government portal, which students sit down, they log in, they file return, they pay taxes, all dummy with dummy data. Even if you make a mistake there, nothing goes wrong because they know government notices. Now just imagine if I have filed TDS return, GST return myself, and then I go for an interview. Interviewer asks, have you filed GST return? You'll say, yes, I know how to file GST return because I have done that. I can bet you watch 100 videos of how to file GST return. Still, if someone will ask you, no, can you file? Show me. You won't be able to. Your hands will tremble. 100% I can give you in writing. Until unless you don't go into the pitch and practice it, you cannot say that, okay, I'll go and play the nationals and straight away hit a six or even stroke for that. This is the biggest difference. Okay, I'm just reading the comments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Value addition by candidate is important. Yes, sir. Understood, sir. We got how interview will ask. Yes. These are some examples. See, obviously, I cannot tell you all what all the interview may ask, right? But I've tried to share as many examples as possible. But idea was to give you that sense. How does the whole process work in case of interview? So plan from that angle. Think holistically. Think from multiple angles, and I'm sure you would be. And don't forget to make your LinkedIn profile if you are not there. And if you are there, please be active. And instead of spending time in Instagram or Facebook, spend time on LinkedIn. You'll get a lot more learning than what is happening. One last point before we go is that your subjects, try to Google and see what are the latest updates. As I mentioned, GSTR 1A is something new that has come right recently. Okay, so there's a question from Savvy. Sir, what to reply if there's a gap in our jobs? See, if there's a gap in a job, right? I think it's a very good question and maybe relevant for a lot of you, right? See, it could be various reasons. One could be a genuine reason. Like, for example, someone got married or someone was sick at home. So hence the reason they had to take a break, right? That please be genuine on that part. But simultaneously, you have to tell them, sir, though I could not because of my wedding, because of someone was sick, I had to take care of my parents or my uncle or whatever, right? Or family business, there was some challenge, or there will be some money issues or whatever could be, right? You have to tell them, I ensured that I wanted to stay relevant. So it should not be only telling the problem. You tell along with the problem, the solution as well. First, tell them this was the issue genuinely. Second, tell them that I was relevant. I kept myself updated with what's happening around in my area, be it accounting, be it GST, be it income. That is very important. But you cannot just tell, right? You have to be relevant also. So you have to prepare well for that. Otherwise, you're faking. See, faking will not help you on that part, right? So what I'm saying, that's where our course can also help you. One. Second, suppose you have done the course, but still you have to go and Google, do a more of reading. See, you stay relevant at least 15, 20 days, 1 month before your interview. Start reading about what is happening later, what are the journal entries, etc. etc. What you worked in your last company, go and start revising your notes if you have something. Maybe if you have some, you remember something, talk to your colleagues what they are doing recently. Is it the same job they are doing or they have done something else? So try to learn what is new in the market, right? What are the latest law changes? If the TDS rate has changed, learn about that. So all those things will help you crack that very easy. That is the best answer in my view. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, if there are no more questions, I think we are dot on time, exactly 3 minutes are there. Any more questions, happy to answer, otherwise we'll sign off. Can all of you please switch on your cameras for a quick picture? Just a few seconds. We'll take a picture, group picture, and then we'll close. Yes, I can see a lot of cameras. All of you, please, it's a request. I've spoken for 1 long hour just for you all. So please, a quick request. Still, some people are switching on. Yes, yes. Okay, quite a few. Still, some people have not switched on. Can we all switch on the cameras, please? Whatever, even if you're on phone, does not matter. Okay, not a bad number. Sudeep, you're there? Can you take a screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Dennis is there. Yeah, okay. Just let us know once done. Everyone is waiting.
Yes, sir. It's done. I have taken the screenshot.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for spending